There are very few things in life that have actually gotten better since the COVID pandemic, and one of them is definitely NBA basketball. The player movement, the constant player movement has made it so that every other team in the league has a much better shot at actually winning a championship. Before COVID, did you know that 60% of NBA championships were held by just four teams in the Celtics, the Warriors, the Lakers, and the Miami Heat owned 60% of the championships. And since 2018, we haven't even had a back-to-back NBA championship. And you've had small market teams like the Denver Nuggets, my Denver Nuggets, the Toronto Raptors go out and win. And I think part of that is just this player mobility that we see that makes the NBA seem like a game of NBA 2K. And it's a ton of fun. And this is the most fun time because right now we're seeing crazy player movement, and it's starting tonight at 6:00. And I think one of the biggest pieces to fall is that of Klay Thompson. And so Klay Thompson, one of the best shooting guards in the history of the league, in my opinion, just a perennial, like a staple of that team. And you cannot look at the Warriors dynasty apart from Klay Thompson, because his ability to rise and fire, to catch off the dribble, to create his own shot, and just you had two of the most lethal shooters in NBA history on one team, and it made guarding those teams incredibly hard. So you have 4 rings for this dude. He's been to 5 All-Star games. He's been the best at his position 4 times. He's been a sneaky good defender, although in recent years he hasn't been that great of a defender, and he owns the record for the most threes in a game. I will never, ever, ever forget. We'll let this breathe here. When he dropped 37 points in one quarter, which most scorers would be thrilled with 37 points in an entire game, and he just went off on the Sacramento Kings here and just laid this team to waste. Well, the big news of the day is that Klay Thompson is on his way out of the Golden State Warriors. And so we're going to break down the 3 or 4 landing spots for him, what I think the advantages and disadvantages are, and what the tea leaves are really showing us as to where Klay Thompson is actually going to go. But what we're hearing unanimously across Twitter and across all NBA news is that they are leaving, and that the good times are indeed over in Golden State for them. I think the question really becomes, like, what Klay are they getting? Are they getting that 37-point a game Klay? Or are you getting the Klay who has been coming back and missed 2 full seasons essentially to different injuries? Injuries that just 10 years ago he never would have played another dribble in NBA basketball. And that all started right here. We'll remember this moment here against Toronto in the finals there, when he comes down and blows his ACL right there. And then we know he had Achilles issues later on his career coming back from that. And that really probably cost the Golden State Warriors more rings right here. But at its heyday, there truly was nothing like watching the unstoppableness of this offense with the best scorer in the game, in the history of the game, in my opinion, in Steph Curry here, and just the attention that he drew and the way the ball was always popping there. And you just cannot discount what Klay meant for that, because you couldn't sag off of him. And then he was a sneaky great defender in his prime as well, and just a lockdown shooter, whether it was creating his own shot like he does there or on catch and shoot. So truly, there are people in Golden State right now who are salty with him, saying like, hey, we paid you $67 million for the 2 years that you were gone, and now you're not taking a better deal. They keep this trio back engaged. And so there are some people who are salty there. But now we have 3 really big teams that he is rumored to. And so the first team that he's really, really rumored to is to the Dallas Mavericks. So you look, the Dallas Mavericks were in the finals, and that was one of the worst finals series I can remember. While I had hopes that they would make that a series, it was a gentleman's sweep. And one of the things that really is sticking out there is just the fact that if you look, where is it? Man, I had it right up here. I mean, the Dallas Mavericks had one of the craziest things where they were shooting 17% on wide open threes, and you throw Klay in there, whether or not he's Klay of old or Klay of right now, you throw Klay Thompson on that team, and I guarantee you he's hitting probably 70% of his open three-pointers, and he's been there. He and Kyrie have a great relationship, and so you just look at adding that to that arsenal of the ISO basketball, with whether it's Luka dribbling and driving and then finding him once the defense collapses, or Kyrie doing the same thing, that is a very, very dangerous thing. And so the Dallas Mavericks have that as their priority of bringing him in. If you're a Dallas Mavericks fan, the only way you win an NBA championship is making a move like this, getting him or getting somebody like Paul George. They need a third scorer there. I guess you can hope that Lively continues to improve. He was only a rookie this year and was, amazing as a rookie. But I think the hope would be that they go out and get a third shooter. So that's the first big rumor. The second big rumor, and this is the one that I think is like fairly substantiated, is that today, even with all this news of it, Klay is spotted on Chatfield Reservoir right outside of Denver. I know exactly where this is. This is not far from the Nuggets facility. And I think if someone saw him and he was just chilling in Colorado and someone like snapped this picture of him and was like, oh, look, Klay's here, is that a coincidence? I think that would be one thing. But him going live, like, hey, here's where I'm at. Check where I'm at right now. To me, this is kind of like floating that like he is indeed going to the Denver Nuggets. Now, I'm a very mixed opinion on this, like where he would fit in. I still have very high hopes in Michael Porter Jr., and I think that if Michael Porter can shake off how he performed a couple times in the playoffs this year, that he could be as every bit as capable as Klay, much younger, much better physically, a much bigger player, and I still have high hopes for Michael Porter Jr. I think Klay coming to the Denver Nuggets would be the end of Michael Porter Jr.'s run with the Denver Nuggets, just because I think they're what you would want out of Klay and what you want out of Michael Porter Jr. are very similar in that aspect. Denver Nuggets are most likely going to lose out on KCP, who was a huge part of the Denver Nuggets championship last year. And so I'm very interested to see, does Klay indeed end up with the Denver Nuggets? And then the last one, the one that would probably be the absolute juiciest, would be Klay staying in California and playing with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Bronny in LA. And so to do that, there's several ways. Like, Klay is a free agent and could go out and sign anywhere he wants to, but most teams who are cap strapped would not be able to give Klay the type of money that he wants. And obviously he already turned down the Golden State Warriors deal because of money. So it seems like a long-term deal that's cash lucrative is important to him. So I do not envision him going to another team without some sort of sign-in trade, which is what everyone is kind of talking about. And so there is a chance that LeBron James could take less and they could bring him in under the cap. And would Klay going to the Los Angeles Lakers be the piece that they need in order to contend in the West? And the West, I cannot remember the West being as good as it is right now, that I really cannot think of a bad team in the West. Even, Wemby and the San Antonio Spurs are probably like the worst team in the West. And you got a potential NBA MVP in Wembanyama. And if he keeps growing at the ceiling people say for him, the West is just stacked. And so you are hearing rumors that in the Pelicans that Brandon Ingram's on his way out, but the West is really going to get shook up, and it's already loaded. That I think the top 4 or 5 teams in the West are better than every team in the East except for the Boston Celtics. And I really think that had the Nuggets or had the Minnesota Timberwolves played the Celtics, they would have won. I just think that the Dallas Mavericks were not the best matchup to make that a great series. So either way, we have Klay Thompson either going to the Dallas Mavericks, the Denver Nuggets, the Los Angeles Lakers, or the other one that people are talking about is going to the Los Angeles Clippers. Either way, staying in Los Angeles, and that Paul George obviously would be on his way out in that case. But you look at Kawhi Leonard, he's playing on the Olympic team this year, and so they're hoping that he's going to be healthy again. Harden, obviously, Westbrook, and Tyronn Lue, and what they could get out of him. So those are the 4 leaders of the clubhouse to land Klay, and I guess there's still an outsized chance, a small chance that he could end up back in Golden State. Of those, which option do you think Klay makes an NBA contender right away, and which one do you think is the most likely place that he chooses? To me, if I had to choose right now, I think Klay Thompson is going to be I'll say Denver Nugget. That's going to be my prediction. Screenshot it. But I think the team that he can actually help propel the most would be the Los Angeles Lakers that you got with Bronny and AD. That's just a skill they do not have. Like, his skill set is so unique to that team, and it's such a value add. Whereas I think if Michael Porter Jr. can make a huge step up, then they're very similar players. Obviously, Klay has been a lot more consistent in that way, but very curious to see how all this plays out. However it plays out, you're going to find all the news right here on the Daily Huddle. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. We love huddling up with y'all every day.